let us start our panel. So we start with everyone should introduce himself. And so let us start with Aveek.
Sure. So am I audible to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, great. So as you know, I myself is Aveek Basu. I'm based out of India. So I'm the program manager for Open Printing, and my responsibility in Open Printing is to make sure that people get comfortable working on Open Printing. So I try to connect new contributors, introducing Open Printing to them, making them comfortable to work, try to handhold them on the basic things, and then I pass all of them to Till to work on the issues and gradually become a contributor for Open Printing. So in stage right now you can see Deepak. So I still remember the first interaction with Deepak when he was still in his school. So in his probably in his second year or third year, and so that's when we started with he started his journey in Open Printing, and right now he is with all of us. He's a contributor as well as he's a mentor guiding the students every year in GSoC. And apart from that, I'm also one of the org admins for the Linux Foundation Google Summer of Code projects. So that's it about me.
Yes. And now, Johannes, please give a short introduction into yourself.
Just a moment.
Don't clip them to the shirts. Yes, this is fast. Do not take too long time for clipping and unclipping them.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank you, Till, to invite me here. And I know Till since about 20 years when we met first in France, in Bordeaux. I was some Linux.
Yes, we had a
meeting.
Hackfest there. This was my first Hackfest, and only Hackfest which I have organized successfully.
And I think Till is one of these. He's so steadfast with printing issues. It's amazing and awesome, and I would like to thank him for all his contributions he did for printing since more than 20 years now, which is the time when I started also more than 20 years now to work at SUSE, and I worked there at the end user support department for printing issues, and I got lots and lots of questions about printing at that time, and I became quickly the only one to answer this because most are not so interested in printing. And in contrast, I could print, so I answered their questions. And to be able to efficiently do this, I made a lot of documentation about printing. So I could answer user questions by pointing them to the documentation and not writing the answer individually. And most questions were about how to set up this or that particular printer model. So I developed with others the SUSE printer setup tool, and this reduced these questions very much from way too many to only a few special ones that are good to manage. And over time, I became package maintainer for SUSE's basic printing packages like cups filters, GhostScript, Gutenprint, and so on. And meanwhile, printing works, let's call it sufficiently well. So there are not so many end user questions anymore. And so my main working area for printing at SUSE is now business user, enterprise user support, and they often have very special, very specific issues that need very specific care. And over time, I got another main working area that is not related to printing. I just like to mention it here. It's disaster recovery, where I now spend most of my time, which all shows that printing works meanwhile sufficiently well. Even the end user, no, not the end user as well, but also the business user issues are not so much any longer. And this is to huge parts, this belongs to Till's endless efforts to make printing work better and better. Thank you for that again.
You're welcome. So next one is Zdenek Dohnal.
Hi everyone, my name is Zdenek Dohnal, and it has Czech pronunciation because I am from Czech Republic, especially from Brno. So my trip here was quite short one, well, depending on the state of highway. And I work for Red Hat. I work for Red Hat. It has been about 7 years, and I work there as a software engineer. As a part of my job is package maintaining of cups and other printing related packages in Fedora, in CentOS, in RHEL as well. That means that in Fedora itself, I answer to users, like they write me a Bugzilla, and I try to help them. If something is broken, I write a patch, which then I test whether if it is possible. And after that, if when patch is ready, I am sending upstream. And that's how I met Till and Mike. And probably after that, I became more involved in open printing. I started to join open printing meetings, watching what's new in printing world, and it was really interesting. So I wanted to look deeper into the code and help more. And since then, so I became CUPS 2.4 release manager. So now I'm helping as well on GitHub of CUPS from open printing.
Yes, and thank you. And Deepak.
Hello, I am Deepak. I am from India. So I started being a part of Open Printing community from 2018. I was in my third year of college, and as a part of Google Summer of Code, I started contributing to Open Printing. I had a very interesting project where uh, right now, if someone wants to print, if someone has a multiple printers, their current experience is like first they select the printer where they want to print, and then select the job attributes that I want a color printer or I want a A4 size printer. But this user experience can be simplified even more. We don't need we if we know what all capabilities are supported by a printer, we can automatically select one of the printer which is best for the job. So my my role was to create a smart module which out of, let's say, how many 10 printers if we have, it selects the best printer based on the job the user requested. So if I user requested for a colored print job, then the system will select a printer which is suitable for it. So I this was a quite an innovative and interesting project, which I worked as a part of Google Summer of Code. And after that, for some years, I have been a mentor in the community where I am helping the newcomers onboard with the code base or helping with their common doubts, helping with the common issues they face and all. So overall, it's a very good journey for me, and I'm happy to be part of the community.
Thank you.
Back to you, Till.
Thank you very much. And now I also want to tell a little bit about me. some people perhaps know me already, and one sees it on conferences that many people know me, as they come up to me, see my badge, and say, "Printing works better than under Windows or Mac. Thank you, you are doing it so well." And so for 22 years now, I'm working on printing with free software. And it came because I've done a PhD in physics, and there I was also system administrator. We had some nice laser printers, but we had only LPD, and one could not specify in LPD which tray, which resolution, which paper size, these attributes. And then I read in the Linux magazine, a German magazine about Linux and free software, that CUPS was released in the beginning of 2000, Common Unix Printing System by Michael Sweet. And this system promised that one has access to all attributes and has a very easy automatic way to share printers in the network. And then I decided to deploy it in the network, and it worked very well. One could really access everything of all printers, and only by command line. So I wrote a little print dialog and put it on Freshmeat in that time. It was to the year 2000. And there, the author of the Linux magazine article discovered my work, invited me to the Linux Tag, a big show big Linux show in Germany, to show off my dialogue on his company's booth. And I talked with many distributions, and Mandrake Linux does not exist anymore commercially. They discovered me, they wanted to, and invited me to work with them. Then I lived 6 years in Paris, and my first task was to switch Mandrake Linux to CUPS, which I did in the beginning. In 2 months, I succeeded. And then I started to promote Linux also. I created, I organized booths on the subsequent years on Linux Tag. I organized a Hackfest, as Johannes mentioned, in 2005 there in France. It was on many conferences in Germany, even one day tutorials of CUPS and so on. And this way, all the other distros followed switching from LPD to CUPS. I also did the integration work in Mandrake Linux, and this work helped also for the other distros to integrate CUPS and so. I was not only an engineer doing the integration of CUPS in Linux, I was also more or less a community manager for Michael Sweet and making CUPS known. And so it got into all the distros. And this was the start of open printing. It was founded 2001, 21 years ago. And I was always at Mandrakesoft already full-time working on printing. And from 2006 on, I switched to Canonical and the Linux Foundation and continued, and up to now. And this is how everything started. But please, no one speak French to me. I've lived for 6 years in Paris, but only spoken English at Mandrake. So this is how we all got into open printing, and I'm continuing to lead open printing to integrate all new technologies and changes. Once Michael Sweet is continuing to develop CUPS, and there are design changes, and I'm taking care that everything around CUPS filters, the print dialogues of KDE and GNOME, the GNOME Control Center, and so on, gets adapted to any changes in the print technology and in the features of CUPS, so that printing always just works independent what happens. Also, I'm taking care that printer drivers which exist which we already have will get conserved over technology changes, so that users can always continue to use their printers. So I'm taking care that no features get lost, that what worked before should continue to work after any change. And this is the print, and also I'm taking care when there are new standards. I'm working very closely together with a printer working group, a consortium of printer manufacturers and other software and hardware companies who develop standards, define standards, and I'm also taking care that the new standards get implemented in Linux and any similar operating system. And this is all the tasks of open printing. I'm also doing community management. I'm managing the Google Summer of Code participation for open printing. That the students get mentored, and I'm mentoring by myself. I'm doing onboarding, starting from the students fixing issues and afterwards getting onboarded into their subject where they are, or contributors in general, into their subject where they were working on. I'm also finding volunteers on conferences and talking with the upstreams of KDE and GNOME and so on, that to coordinate that all needed changes are done. And also, I'm in contact with printer manufacturers so that printer drivers are made in the correct way. Yes, so a lot of things to do in open printing. This requires naturally also to have a team around me. And anyone is welcome to join. And for this, also this session. And now I want to ask you all, what is or was most exciting for you being in open printing and free software printing? And I start with Zdenek.
Well, in my case, I would like to talk about three most exciting things, at least for me, and one bonus one. And so the first one is basically connected to my work as a package maintainer. When someone comes to me with a problem, and that person is really desperate that printer doesn't work, and then I investigate the issue. If something is really wrong, I write a patch, test it locally, and then send it to the user. I'm really excited that the user confirms that patch is working for him, and that's a really good feeling for me that at that time, because I know that I did something good for that person. Another one is connected to my work as a CAPS release manager. Is that time when we are going to have a new release, so you are cleaning up the issues, preparing the whole project for new release, and then you create that new source tarball and put it on the GitHub. And everyone in open source world is starting to use that new source tarball, so which I think is kind of wonderful. Third one is connected to community, our community, open printing. That it is a community of people which are really experienced, and I really like to learn new things. So it is really helpful that, and I am really delighted to work with Till, Johannes, Mike, which spent about 20 years in printing. And the bonus one is that one, that feeling when you are about to print and that page is going out correctly. So thank you guys for being here.
So Johannes.
So what I find most fascinating about printing is that it is in contrast to software-only things. It's about something real in the real physical world. I think that's a main difference between so much software, which in the end only makes bits on the screen appear in this or that light. So you see something, but it's not so real, in contrast to making a printed paper. The Gutenberg printing press was invented more than 500 years ago. So that's a total different thing if you work in an area that is based on something that's 500 millennium years ago. And of course, the Gutenberg printing press is based on even older things. So I don't want to get back to Stone Age where they printed their hand at the wall of a cave or something like this. That's a little bit too far. But I found this fascinating. When you have and it's the most simple, the most direct thing when you have a computer to have this real world thingy done. Very most of you have a printer and very most need to print something from time to time. It doesn't matter if you print each day or once in a week or once in a month. But when you need a printout, then you really need it. And it's a real thing you need it. It's intentionally that I use the word real so often when I now talk about this. In the end, a printer is a whole production machine that makes from raw materials an empty page, an empty sheet of paper and toner and ink and some software bits and electricity, some real thing, a printed paper. And this area is, again, it's fascinating and you cannot cheat. Every user, not even a user, everybody can tell if a printout is okay or if it looks bad. So you start to, when you contribute or when you get interested in this printing area, it's so much different compared to all these other software-only things. Three-dimensional worlds in adventure games are nice, yes, of course, but they are not real. Printing is real. If the user says it does not print, you have a real problem. And you know this, and I know this as well. When I urgently need a printout, it fails for me. But I know how to get things fixed within 5 minutes. So that's a difference. I am not in despair then. But I know never print 5 minutes before the train or the flight takes off. Better 5 hours before. I see nodding heads here. Of course, the last printout worked perfectly. And then you like to print, let's say, your flight ticket. I know nowadays you do not need to print it, but only as an example. And guess what? The toner will be empty then, or something like this. And this makes it fascinating. You cannot cheat. Now the toner is empty. Now you must do something. It's a real world. It's a hard problem. You need to get it fixed. And this is so different. And that's what I like. And of course, that's scary. You cannot do it later or work around it. It stands in front of you and you need to do it. It's real hard, not hard in the sense of blood, sweat, and tears, but it's real hard work. And so perhaps some of you are interested in this area in addition to all these nice software areas. Perhaps I could show a little bit of this difference, why it makes sense to be interested, how this happens to get an empty paper into something that's meaningful. That's all from my side. For this
Yes,
question.
so Aveek.
Sure. So wherever I go and give a talk about printing, about open printing rather. So one thing that I ask the audience, like, I mean, today we have everything, almost everything in this mobile. So we try to have a digital copy and everything in the mobile, but still, whenever it comes to, there are few documents which we cannot do away with. Consider our passport, consider our visa. Do we have a soft copy of it? I mean, there might be few exceptional cases, but still now, whenever I have to travel across the globe, like, I still have to carry the hard copy of the passport with a with things printed on it. So you can never go away from printing. That is the fact. I mean, we whatever modernization we do, whatever things we do, whatever digitization we do, we cannot move away with from printing. Still, there are certain areas where we need printing, and that is the importance of printing. And the second thing is, I tell my students, like, whenever we get connected, like, the beauty of open printing is, uh, once you push in a code in your in cups filters, and the comment that you put in the files with your name, so that gives a visibility, that gives the actual visibility. So since it is a very concentrated group and not too many people like working on printing or things, but if you can make things work out here, so you get a lot of visibility. So that's the beauty of working for open printing. So for me, I still remember, like, earlier I was working with a printer company, like Smart, and I was in the device driver area. I was working in the device drivers for Linux and Mac during that point of time. So I met Till first in Apple office in Sunnyvale for the Open Printing Summit. And so myself and Till and Ira, we were discussing, and it seemed like we are not getting new talents, new people coming up to open printing. So we were trying to think of ways how we can talk or how we can popularize open printing, and that's what gave me a challenge. And so what can be done in this field? So that is a point of time when I started talking to students from different institutes and try to give them the knowledge about printing, what is printing about, what you achieve out of printing. So gradually, like, people started to know about printing, what printing is, how they can use it. So everybody, it's like they were doing a control P and getting some options and printing out of it. But what is happening at the background, what is actually helping them to print, probably most of the people were not aware of that. So that's how we started to make printing, we started to popularize printing amongst people. And I always believe that if we can nurture people at the grassroots level when they're still learning, it's easier to get a contributor out of them. And that worked pretty well for us. So now, like, whenever there is a community event or something, we get enough response from the student community for open printing. And so I still remember, like, in 2015, Till was talking to me, and we had just one student applying for Google Summer of Code. But in talking about 2021, or consistently for the last few years, we are getting 7 to 8 students and more than 200 or 250 applications. So that's how we are growing. But so that's the beauty. So we have progressed a lot in many things, like one aspect is driverless printing and scanning. So we I mean, at least 5 to 6 years back, we couldn't even imagine of something like we would not have to install a driver for printing. I mean, whenever we had to print or scan, we had to install the driver. Otherwise, it was not possible for us to print. So right now, if we have any modern printer, we just plug it in, and automatically everything is configured for us, and we do a control P and we see the list of printers, and we can print out of it. And this has become possible for all the hard work that you people have put in, especially Till, Mike, Zdenek, and Johannes, for all the hard work that you people have put in, and also the students who have worked on a couple of interesting and complicated projects for the last 6 7 years. So I take this opportunity to thank everyone for all your efforts, and for me, uh, making printing grow is the passion which is driving me. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And Deepak.
Uh, for me, the best part has been contributing to the open source. So I do remember the day when I got the news that my code will be part of the Ubuntu. So for a third year guy, it was a very big achievement that yeah, my code is going with the Ubuntu release, and I am proud. I feel proud working in the community. I feel proud that my code is being used by millions of people who are using Linux, uh, and and it's a proud moment for me that my name is part of the list of contributors uh, in the Ubuntu files. So because of all these reasons, I like to contribute to open printing. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And now we should talk with our audience. And so any one of you has some questions, some remarks?
It's really great to see all of this passion. I think is really, really impressive to have that long-term investment in something like this. I have two questions. One is, when you're looking for contributors, what are the sort of skills, knowledge, education people need to have to contribute to open printing? And the second one is 3D printing. Where does that fit in? Thank you.
So, Aveek, do you want to talk about
Sure.
open and about the...
Sure. So maybe I can take the first part of the question until you can talk about the 3D printing progress.
Yes, yes.
So for with regards to the contribution, who can be a contributor or who cannot be a contributor, we do not have any boundaries from our end. So we welcome everyone to be a part of the community. And it's like whenever our mode of working is when somebody will be I mean, typically when someone expresses their interest to work on open printing, so we give them some basic assignments to make them comfortable or to make them understand what actually we are doing. So those are some very basic assignments. So by doing so, by on completing that assignment, somebody gets the idea like what is open printing all about, or even like how this printing is working, the basic things, or how to build cups, or how to put in a comment in the cups code and get that printed in the logs, in the cups logs, or how to create a print queue. So these things actually make somebody familiar with the printing world. So once this is completed, then we try to give a basic issue to work on, a simple one, which gives them the confidence uh, with regards to open printing. And once that issue is resolved, we try to increase the complexity so that they get a more they get a better grip of the code or understanding. So gradually we try to increase the complexities. And finally, when they become comfortable with cups and other cups filters and other related areas, so it's like we assign them more things or more projects to work on. And currently, one most important factor is like we are having our own version of cups. So that is so our responsibilities have increased. So earlier it was mainly cups filters that we were doing, but now we are doing a lot of things. So that's how we try to make somebody comfortable and help them grow. So any questions on this part?
May I just add something?
Yes.
Thanks. Regarding the level, I would like to mention that we are not looking only for code contributors. We have a wide field of areas which we are looking for some help. Do you like writing tests? We can help you understand how CAPS test suite is working, and how we would like to move it into the future. Or documentation, like across the distributions, there are several good documentations about how debug printing, and this we would like to like merge it into into one brilliant documentation, which will be available on our GitHub. Because usually when someone reports an issue, it would be great if we could like point that person to a specific documentation, and easily user can get us information we need. And that's all.
Anybody and anything else about this topic? No. So we can go over to 3D printing. 3D printing, there is intense development of standards in the PWG, even equivalence for PDF and things, and a lot of different things. Only the development of these standards is not far enough that we can add 3D printing to the roadmap of open printing. It needs to mature a little bit more, perhaps in the next year, next September, October, when I'm running the next annual Open Printing Micro Conference on Linux Plumbers. We are perhaps ready to put it in for the first time into our roadmap.
But currently, standards are already written. Some standards about 3D printing. Yes, sorry. Yes, I wanted to add that there are already standards about IPP 3D printing, and it is discussed during the PVG and Open Printing Join sessions, which happened every half a year.
Every year we have at the Open Printing Summit.
Yes.
Every year we are running two conferences. One is the Open Printing Summit, which happens in May. It's usually virtual currently, and it's a meeting of the PWG together with Open Printing, we exchange about what we are doing at OpenPrinting and what new standards the PWG is publishing, so that we are up to date with the new standards to allow us from OpenPrinting to implement them for Linux, Unix, and similar operating systems. And we have another conference every year. This is the OpenPrinting Micro Conference, a half-day's conference embedded in the Linux Plumbers Conference. And in this conference, it's a little bit like a roadmap sprint. We are planning, discussing what we want to do in the next 12 months. And this way, we are getting our work planned, and so it is. So it is going. And now, any other questions? Any other questions or remarks?
If there are no questions, I would have a question.
Yes.
Just I would like to know how many of you have a printer or printers? Nice. And how do you know? Well, do you install your printer? That's the good answer. Good answer.
Everyone else of you simply plugged in the printer, so either to their network and connected to the Wi-Fi or Ethernet, or to their computer by USB, and it just worked without any installation activity. Am I right?
Yeah.
So it just works. So one does not need to have any. One does not have any work with it. Yes, this is great. So we were successful in the last 22 years. This is good to hear. And I'm on many conferences throughout the year, not only the two I mentioned. I'm Canonically employee. This means another two conferences, the internal engineering sprints of Canonical, plus from now on, added the Ubuntu Summit to every other of these engineering sprints, always in the Northern Hemisphere autumn. And there are also some others like WADEC, Linux Application Summit, and so on. And on every conference, there is at least once per conference day, one person coming up to me and telling how well printing works. Many say printing works better than under Windows and Mac. So we are really successful. And anyone who is interested in joining a successful team and make it more successful is highly welcome. You only need to contact us. If you perhaps the simplest way to give you contact information, not only the website www.openprinting.org. OpenPrinting is written on the T-shirt of Aveek, because we don't have slides. Yes, but without the space, OpenPrinting and then .org. This is our website. And then also as contact email, it's Till, T-I-L-L, my first name, @linux.com. Very easy to remember. And one thing I want to ask anyone or everyone on the panel, what would you like to say to potential community members why they should join OpenPrinting? We start with you.
Okay, so I wanted to start with some rip-off joke, like come to us, we have cookies, but we run out cookies, so sorry. So I just wanted to add that I really recommend joining this community. In case you really like to learn and you like learn new things and want to make users happy. And in that case, and even it doesn't matter which kind of work do you want to help with. Like we can we have some possible improvements for connection with graphical interfaces, which is really really important to make like internals like CapsD to work with the PDF viewers, etc. It is so such thing is really important. Then in the improving tests or possibly improving the documentation, as I told before. So our community, in my opinion, is really experienced, really diverse and welcoming. So feel free to join us. Thank you.
Johannes.
I would like to point out a little bit a different thing. First, a question: who of you uses GitHub as in some way? So most of you. OpenPrinting is at GitHub. So whatever you do elsewhere on GitHub, you can do at OpenPrinting. Contributing does not mean making code or making something. Contributing starts with be interested. And it could start with describe your printing issue so well that others can help you. So you start something and it helps others to understand, oh, there is this issue. And then others can help you. And then you get into contact. You do. So it's a way of thinking towards printing. If you just use it and if it doesn't work, you're upset, then it's not contributing. Contributing means you use it, it doesn't work, and you submit a useful issue. We need useful issues. And then we can help. And then later, you may learn something or you will learn something from your issue. And then later, you may help others. It's like it started for me. It started for me with helping others. I did not start making great code. It's not how it starts. You start with small steps and miracles are not expected. Just contribute whatever you can. And it's appreciated. Thank you in advance.
Yes, Aveek.
So I would say like join OpenPrinting if you want to change the way Vault prints. So we are a small group and you have a lot of liberty to change something if you feel like that can be improved. So that's the beauty of OpenPrinting.
Thank you. And
so I would say that we are having some quite exciting projects also. Like we are working on scanning supports. 3D printing will also be there. So if you want to contribute to those upcoming innovative ideas, you can you can contribute. Personally, for me, it was a great learning opportunity because I learned how Linux works, how like since our code is part of a library, how the library is working internally, and how two libraries are communicating and all, like two executables are communicating and all. So from the learning perspective, if you want to learn in this side of work, you can join. And I would also like to say that you can contribute to anything you want, not just the features, but adding the CI system, adding the testing frameworks, documentation, anything you want. So no contribution is small. Looking forward to see more people in OpenPrinting.
thank you very much. And also keep as everyone told, keep in mind, we are here on the Ubuntu Summit, not on the Ubuntu Developer Summit, meaning that not only coding counts, but also, as mentioned, documentation, bug trials, testing, evangelism, spreading the news, and finding other people, convincing other people to help us. So everything counts. And thank you to all of you for being here and having a great rest of the conference. We will see us on the boat tonight. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.